So, given the fact that we have so many young people here, I have to censor part of my story. And so I'm going to use the word potty, but it means number 2. And if you can follow that, then you're old enough to know what we're talking about here. So potty, right? So in Indianapolis, there's a place called the Deer Creek. Now it's called Clips Music Center. It used to be called Deer Creek, and it's been called a bunch of different things in between. And every once in a while, they would have this fair that one of the radio stations would put on, and they'd have the cheap carnival rides, and they'd have concerts going on at the same time. There's a big pavilion with an amphitheater, and people would gather around and listen to good bands come. And so my wife Donna and I went there with another couple, and this has been
first year marriage.
So yeah,
25
years ago. So we went to the Deer Creek Fair with our friends, and the purpose was just to walk around the fair and go on rides. And so we're walking around, we're having a good time, and I saw this one ride that I had never seen before, and it's basically 3 giant metal hoops and like a seat in the middle with places to strap your arms and legs, and then they start the machine and the hoops start going every which way, and the idea is you feel weightless somehow. And I never got to ride it, so I can't explain that to you, but that was the idea. But I got in line for it, and I'm 2 people away and 1 person away, and I'm like, I better go potty before I get on this, because it could be quite a scene if I get on that ride and it causes me to lose control. And so I leave the line and I go over to the amphitheater where they have this concert going on, and I said, is it okay if I go in there and use the restroom? And they said, do you have a ticket to the show? And I said, well, I don't have a ticket to the show. And they said, well, then you need to use one of those portalettes over there. And I looked over, and there were about 50 portalettes, a big long line of portalettes, and about 3 or 4 people in front of every one of the 50 portalettes. Now it's starting to get dark. It's a little darker than it is now. And I start heading over to pick which line I was going to stand in. And lo and behold, the one on the end had no line. And I thought, this must be my lucky day. Well, so I go and I open up the portalette, and I have to go potty, right? And so I open up the door, and I go in, and it's dark and 100 degrees in there probably. And so I shut the door and lower my pants to take care of business. And I sit down, and apparently somebody or many people had also gone potty, but they went on the seat. And so when I sat down, I heard, and the potty from all those people shot forward onto the back of my leg. This is true. And needless to say, all over the back of my leg. So, immediately I go into a semi-state of shock. Multi-people potty in a 100-degree steam chamber, and I'm sweating profusely and almost on the verge of passing out. So naturally, I'm like, how am I going to get myself out of this situation? And I go for the toilet paper, and there isn't any. That's good. So thankfully, earlier in the night, I had thrown a dart with tremendous accuracy, popped a balloon, and won a t-shirt. And so I had a t-shirt, and I used the t-shirt, and I'm wiping my legs and everything, and I throw it down in the hole, and it's still all over my leg. Well, I was wearing canary yellow tennis shorts. They were canary yellow and brown at this point. So I figure I'm not walking out of this chamber with those, so I took those off and used them to wipe. Threw them down in the hole. Still not quite clean. Underwear, not good. Next, down in the hole. So now I'm mostly clean, but not totally clean. And I'm down to my shirt and my sock. So I take off shoe number 1, sock, shoe back on. Shoe number 2, sock, shoe back on. Wipe, finish, down in the hole. And now I'm mostly good. At least good enough that now I'm only worried about how I'm going to get out of here. By this time, many people have gathered and are knocking on the door like, hurry up in there, dude. It's going to be a while. So now here's my dilemma. I'm in this, and now half an hour's gone by. I'm sweating profusely. I'm in a t-shirt and shoes. Nothing on from the waist down. So I come up with a plan. I've got three options at this point. Option number one, I take off my shirt, put it over my head to disguise the lady. I can look through the sleeve. That's option one. Option two, the obvious. I can put the shirt on as a diaper. Make a run for it. That's option two. Option three, I stay put until they shut the place down. My wife files a missing person. Eventually they find me. So I choose option three because I'm very modest. I'm staying put. And so I hole up in there. Now, the good news is I'm on the end, right? So I have the vents. And I stand up on the seat. I know, but you do what you got to do. I get up on the seat, and I press my face up against the vent. And there's a lady with her daughter standing right there, which was perfect. So I said, ma'am, it's an emergency. Please go out in the middle and yell for Donna Stein. And the lady, like... All right, she's going to go get the police and come arrest the pervert. And I'm going to get out of here. That didn't happen, so she just disappeared. And so I'm still standing there. So another 15 or 20 minutes go by. Now it's like 45 total elapsed minutes. I'm down to like 63 pounds. And so all of a sudden the guy who we were there with walks up, and I see him, and I'm like, Chris. And he's, Joe? You're not going to believe it. I said, I'm trapped in here. Somebody pottied all over the place. And I have nothing on. I have shoes and a shirt. I'm naked. And I'll find Donna and ask her to buy me a pair of shorts at a carnival. So I'm watching through this thing as Chris disappears into the crowd, but I can still see him. And all of a sudden, I see Donna, and I watch this happen. So Chris walks up to Donna, and this is exactly what I see. He goes, and then I see my wife go. Now, when you've been trapped in a toilet for 45 minutes at 100-degree temperature, the last thing you want to see is your wife going. No sympathy. So, of course, my blood pressure went up a little higher at that point. Another 10 or 15 minutes come by, a knock on the door. Honey, are you okay? Just please tell me you found me some shorts. And so she goes, I got you some. So I crack the door. In comes a pair of white Harley Davidson knickers. I didn't care what they were. So I put them on. I come out finally, and the air felt like God himself was breathing on me. And I was so Donna, my wife, looks at me and she goes, "Oh, honey, you have it on your shoes." And I'm like, I've been trapped. I can say when I come out, you got it on your shoes. So, I made my way back over to the pavilion to tell them of my dilemma and tell them that they have a problem that they need to deal with in that area. On my way to the pavilion, this is not a joke, I pass an elephant ear stand, which you guys, it's like a donut but flat. Yeah. And shockingly, there were police officers standing at the elephant ear stand because there was no donut stand around for them to go to. And so I went up and I said, "Officer, you're not going to believe it, but I was just in there and somebody pottied all over the portalette, and you need to take some of that yellow tape and wrap it as like a crime scene area." Almost choked on their donut. And so they didn't do anything. I went back to the pavilion and I said, "Can I come in and wash off?" And they said, "Do you have a ticket to the show?" That's how I got in this dilemma in the first place. So they said, "No, you can't come in." And finally my wife said, "With disease and everything, you need to let him in." So they let me in. I washed off, went as a trooper. I went back to the carnival, didn't get on that ride, but as we were leaving, we passed that portal out that I was trapped in for so long, and I saw the door swing open, and out comes a girl going,